Chapter 25. The Reel of Misfortune. The world smells different after a storm. We have no power or phones the next morning, and that has Grammy worrying she'll miss the game show network for days on end. I am itchy to get out and find Ronan, but Grammy won't let me go. She's worried about power lines being down. But I have to go find Ronan and see if he's okay. Grammy smiles big, and I am annoyed. Until she looks past me, waves her hand, and Ronan steps inside. Before I think about it, I give him a quick hug. He doesn't know it's because I'm happy he is alive. He straightens and looks at me like I just coughed up a quahog. Hey, Delcy. His face is red. Sorry, I'm just so happy you're okay. Why would I not be okay? I heard you were in the water during the storm, and your father had to go in after you. Is that true? Heck no. But my father did go in after some other kid who drifted out on his inner tube and couldn't make it back in. I didn't see it, but it was pretty hairy, I guess. That kid's mother cried all over my dad, and now they're calling him Gutsy Gale instead of Gusty, which he hates. Hates. I can see how Ronan feels about it. That's cool. You must be proud, huh? Yeah, I am, he laughs. But don't tell him I told you. You'd think he robbed a bank the way he wants to keep it a secret. I laugh. Okay, I won't. Man, but the storm was wild, huh? Freaky. Wild, yes, I loved it. Most people would take a sunny day, you know. You're kind of alone on this. I've always loved wild weather. When I was a kid, I used to like watching the wind out the window, pushing things around the yard. It seemed like magic for things to swirl around by themselves. And my papa loved weather too. We put up our own weather station and we'd go out every morning to check. He got me lots of weather books too, so I could read about what makes the wind and stuff. Yeah, he says, so what causes wind then? Air moving in and out of different pressures, but all the while the earth rotates underneath, so the wind gets pushed around. I used to wonder if the wind would get annoyed by that. Yeah, the wind gets mad. That's when you get a hurricane. Funny, Ronan, but no, you need really low barometric pressure for that. He rolls his eyes. Of course you do. Then he shakes his head. But it's pretty cool how smart you are, Delcy. Thanks for noticing, I say. So, he says, have you been down to the other end of the beach? There's something kind of cool. You want to see it? I nod. After Ronan assures Granny that there are no power lines down near us, we jog towards Seagull Beach. As we run through the puddles, water splashes all around us like it's raining up from the ground. Everything but the tops of our heads is soaked when we get there. There is a small crowd of people and a boat. See, Ronan says, an abandoned boat, since you're into that kind of thing. What do you mean? Well, don't you take pictures all over the place of things left around? Towels and stuff? He noticed that? I'm embarrassed. That is, until I recognize the boat. It's the only multicolored fishing boat that's ever pulled up to Chatham Pier. Oh no, I yell. That's Henry's boat. What? Ronan looks at the boat again, and he looks worried. Henry, I yell. What's happened to Henry? Well, he can't be on that boat with it on its side like that, right? We both look toward the ocean. He wasn't answering his phone yesterday, and I haven't seen him today. I start to run, not toward the boat, but toward Henry's house, and Ronan is right on my heels. I jump onto Henry's porch and bang on the door several times. Wait, and then bang some more. Finally, I yell, Henry, are you home? Henry! No answer. I lean my forehead against the door. We should call the police, Ronan says, or the Coast Guard. They would have done that on the beach already. but I have a place we can check. Where? Ronan asks, but I'm already running. Saucepan Lynn's, I say. It's his favorite place to eat breakfast. With Ronan on my heels, I run through several backyards and down Old Wharf Road to a tiny cafe behind the post office where the locals eat. The creaky door slams as we walk in, and the regulars at the counter all turn to look at us. "Henry," I yell, "you're alive." He laughs. "Was I dead? The bacon hasn't got me yet. I couldn't find you, and I know Esme and Ruby aren't home." "Well, Ruby and her mom are away for a couple of days, and I didn't realize I'd been hiding anywhere." He smiles as he takes another bite of scrambled eggs. I want to hug him, but I guess I need to stop hugging people and telling them I'm glad they're not dead. "Sit down with me and have some breakfast." "Henry," I say, "we can't now. The Reel of Fortune has been beached." "What?" "It's down on Seagull Beach." He is wide-eyed and stops chewing to ask, "You sure?" "Henry," I say, "it was Papa Joseph's boat. I know what it looks like." Henry stands and fumbles with his wallet and throws some money on the counter. "Let's go," he says, stepping over a dog and heading for the door. Henry's truck slides on the sand as he pulls into the parking space and slams on the brakes. He's out and running before we are. When he sees the boat, he stands with both hands on top of his head. "Captain Ahab," he yells. "Here, Captain Ahab. Come here, boy." Ronan leans closer. "You didn't tell me he was nuts," he says. I knock Ronan with my shoulder and point at Henry, who's scooping up a cat with 3 white legs and 1 black one. Captain Ahab must be the only cat in the world who loves the water. He's one of the reasons I've spent hours trying to talk Grammy into getting me a kitten. On long fishing days, Captain Ahab is someone to talk to. Henry took him home once, but he yowled the entire night. Henry figures that Cat doesn't know it should be terrified of the ocean, and maybe just loves the smell of striped bass. "Aye, matey." Henry sounds like a pirate as he talks to the captain. "Have you run our boat aground in search of your favorite fish?" Then he puts the cat down on the sand, and while the cat does figure 8s around his ankles, Henry lets out a sound like a giant with a toothache. He rakes his own hair with his fingers and looks to the sky. "Well, boats aren't meant for beaches, so let's work on getting in the water." Ronan steps forward. He can wait until the tide comes in and push her back to the sea. "Well, Ronan, that's the right idea, but we'll need a bunch of help. If we try to move it ourselves and get an unexpected surge, someone could end up in permanent part of my boat." Henry says, chuckling. When times are toughest, he finds reasons to laugh. He takes out his phone and moves a few steps away while he talks. "So," Ronan begins, "that was your grandpa's boat?" "Yeah, the Reel of Fortune. For fishing, because Grammy loves game shows." "Huh, that's funny. Why is it all different colors?" "Papa Joseph painted it a different color every year, knowing that it would chip and reveal different colors underneath. He said it was a good reminder that everyone carries a lot of history with them. He thought chips and dents made a person more interesting." I expect Ronan to give me some wise guy answer, but instead he looks at me in the eye and says, "I wish I'd met your papa." Henry returns. "So I've got some lads with boats coming. We'll get the reel back on the water." Henry puts his hand on Ronan's shoulder, but as Ronan points out, we'll have to wait until the tide comes in. Ronan stands taller. "Yep," Henry says, "we'll just wait for nature. She put us in this predicament and will help get us out. No use shouting at the rain. No one was hurt." He reached over and rubs my back. "The reel is tipped on the beach here, but I don't see any damage, and Captain Ahab here is to live another day of the 8 lives he's got left." Chapter 26, A Bit of Drama. Ronan and I are talking about the strategies when it comes to Monopoly. We both believe in buy everything you can, but I leave the utilities behind because you can't build houses and hotels on them. and I like to build houses and hotels. Lots of them. Delcy, I hear a familiar voice I have missed. It's Amy, and Michael is with her. They're coming up the driveway. Who are they again? Ronan asks. Amy and Michael, my friends who are in the Cape Playhouse play this summer. Oh, he says, biting his nail. I jump up and run to them, giving them both hugs. It feels good to have my old friends back. What are you doing here? Amy is staring at Ronan and looking at me. I know her well enough to understand that she is questioning why he is here. After that day of watching him at Sunday school. Are you the kid from Sunday school? Michael asks. From Sunday school? I don't live there, if that's what you mean. No, of course not. You were there that day. Ronan gets squinty-eyed in a nervous kind of way. What day? I interrupt. We were all there one day when you were, but we didn't really know you yet. We only knew that you and your dad had just moved here. Oh, so what are you two doing? Amy asks. Playing Monopoly, the real version of your homemade one? Why would I buy one if I had one? I asked. Oh no, I get it, she says. With not enough money and with houses and hotels that fall over, I think it's perfect. And she gives me a shove and a look only a friend who's known you forever could give you. She knows my mom made that game, and I'll never get rid of it. So, Amy continues, do you want to hit Cape Bowl? The Playhouse gave us a ton of tokens for the machines and free bowling game coupons. I think it's so kids who don't live here can go check things out. But we got some too. I mean, we don't have any money, I say. Amy shoves me a bit. I know, I told you, we've got tons. So we all head up to Cape Bowl, where there is an arcade and bowling alley and a snack bar. Michael swings open the door and lets us all walk in ahead of him. We decide to bowl first. When we get up to the counter and get shoes, Ronan hangs back. I don't need any shoes, I'll just wear mine. You can't, I tell him. You have to get shoes. He looks down at his feet. Are you getting shoes? I reach into my pocket and pull out some ankle socks. For bowling? Yeah. You have to have special shoes. Special shoes as in ugly shoes? Why can't I just wear mine? You stumble if you wear yours. The bowling shoes slide. Ronan looks a lot happier. Slide? Cool. We all get shoes, and Ronan stares down at his feet like he's grown an extra toe. But then he takes a running start and slides down the lane about 6 feet. I go first, and Ronan watches everything I do. I get 7 pins, but Amy claps like I hit 11. While Michael is walking over to pick up a ball, Amy starts to yell, Brandy, over here! Then she turns to me. Look, Dells, Brandy is here. I turn slowly, not happy about who I'm going to see. I haven't had a chance to tell Amy about the situation with Brandy and Teresa, and I know they're heading our way. Turns out they are assigned to the lane next to us. How did I get so lucky? How did I get so unlucky? Hey, I say. Brandy seems unhappy to be next to us, but says hi back. They begin to put on their shoes. Okay, Ronan says. How hard could it be? You just stick your fingers in the 3 holes and throw the ball at the pins. Well, you roll it, not throw it, I say. Teresa laughs, and I'm thankful I don't have to see her much. Ronan takes a running start and swings the ball out in front of him, but doesn't let go. He flies into the air and lands on the lane with a loud thud. Everyone turns. Brandy and Teresa laugh. Amy and Michael laugh too, actually. I mean, when I see he isn't really hurt, it's hard not to laugh. I've never seen anyone launch themselves down a lane before. Are you okay, Ronan? Yeah, you think you're a human bowling ball or what? Teresa asks. But be quiet, I say. I wonder if Ronan is going to get mad. Michael stands and reaches out a hand to Ronan. Amy comes over and whispers, What is going on with Brandy? She went to the dark side, following that other one. That's too bad. Tell me about it. I turn to Ronan. Do you want to go play video games? No, why would I want to do that? I'm just getting the hang of it. Oh, yeah. I actually thought you might be, embarrassed. You didn't like my first time? What was wrong with it? He raises his eyebrows, trying to look innocent. It was great. A few more feet and you could have hit the pins with your head. The four of us laugh. It takes Ronan 4 turns to hit 2 pins, and he jumps around like he got a perfect game, pumping his fists, spinning around. This kid is a goof, Michael says. He's kind of grown on you, though. Like mold that grows on old food, Teresa chimes in. I glare. Who asked you? Oh, did we hurt his feelings? Teresa asks. I turn to Brandy, who acts like she's not paying any attention to us. Do you even speak anymore, or are you not allowed? Be quiet, Dulcie. Clever comeback, I say. Ronan steps forward and stands closer to Teresa and Brandy. I've learned a lot this summer. One thing is that when you're hurt, it means you care. Really? So there is a question for you. If I'm not hurt, what does that mean? Come on, Teresa says to Brandy. Let's go get snacks. I know that watching Brandy walk away will stick with me for a long time. I'll miss the friend she was and could have been. But as Ronan makes Michael and Amy laugh behind me, I think about how loyal these 3 are. I guess some friends are just glitter and some friends are glue. I wonder which friends she thinks are glitter and which ones are glue. Remember, the ones that are good for you stick to you. Chapter 27, Whatever Floats Your Boat. There is a knock on the door, and I can tell it's Henry just by how much the screen door rattles. Hey, Dulcie, how are you? Good, I'll go get Grammy. No, actually, I'm here to talk with you. You are? Yeah, he says, folding his arms. What's the weather look like tomorrow? 82 degrees, moderate humidity, decent barometric pressure, which is good. Winds out of the east at only 6 miles per hour. Quiet day, I say. But I know you knew that, so what gives? Well, I didn't quite know that much. He laughs. I just wanted to hear you say it. I knew you'd have the report. He unfolds his arms and stuffs his hands into his pockets. So it sounds like a pretty perfect fishing day. No winds, no weather, no surprises, which I know you'll like. I'm so excited, I know what he's going to ask. So I'm wondering if you'd like to come out with me. You're older now, and I think it's about time. Are you up for it? I jump once. I would love it. I clasp my hands together as if to pray. But I told Ronan I'd hang out with him. Can he come with us? Please, please, please. Fine with me, provided his dad says it's okay. I hug Henry, and he laughs again. Then he leans through the doorway and yells, Bridget, did you hear that? Can I take your girl fishing tomorrow? How's the weather, Henry? It's going to be quiet as a seal on Monomoy Island. Okay, Henry, but you take care of my girl, you hear? You know I'll take care of her just like she's mine. I smile at Henry and leave for seaside heaven. Ronan's drinking orange soda when he opens his door. Hey, he says between gulps. Henry Lasco says he'll take us both fishing tomorrow if your dad says it's okay. Before he can say anything, his father calls, Ronan, who's at the door? It's just Dulcie. Just Dulcie? That's no way to greet someone, Ronan. His father steps up to me. His hair is a mess, and his face is scruffy, covered in whiskers. He smells like bacon. He waves me in. The house is dark, and there are clothes all over the backs of chairs. There are some wooden fish hanging on the wall, and a poster of a Portugal map over the couch. Ronan seems uneasy. So what brings you by, Dulcie? His dad asks. Henry, my neighbor, wants to take me and Ronan out on his fishing boat tomorrow, but he said you have to give me permission. Who is this Henry guy? How big is the boat? Does he have experience on the water? He's a striper fisherman out of Chatham, and he's kind of like my dad. I tell him, I don't exactly know how big the boat is, but it could probably hold like 5 couches. He laughs. A practical girl. I like that. He turns to Ronan. Is this the boat you found beach that day? Ronan nods. Well, he says, leave me this Henry's number and I'll give him a call. Really? Ronan asks. You have to call? Hey, I don't know the guy. I want to feel him out. I wouldn't loan my car to a stranger. You think I'd send my son? Out on the ocean, no less. I'm glad he pretty much said yes, Ronan tells me. But now all of a sudden he looks worried. What's wrong, I ask. I don't have stuff to go fishing. I don't have a pole, and I don't have clothes for it. You know I don't even have a bathing suit. I don't think it matters. If you wear jeans and long sleeves on a boat, you'll look just like Henry and most of the other fishermen and me. I burst into flames if I'm out on the sun all day. It's called an Irish tan. But bring fire extinguishers to the beach. I don't think it matters. If you wear jeans and long sleeves on the boat, you'll look just like Henry and most of the other fishermen. And me. I burst into flames if I'm out in the sun all day. It's called an Irish tan. We bring fire extinguishers to the beach. He rolls his eyes. Okay, I get the point. I shove him a bit. And Henry has stuff for the fish. And Henry has stuff for us to fish with. Come on, it'll be fun, if you don't say. I'll have to invite Teresa and Brandy. Okay. I can't let you bring a couple of sharks to a fishing party. Chapter 28, Shark Snack. When Henry and I pull in to pick up Ronan, it's still dark outside. Well, hello there, Ronan. Glad to have you aboard. Sorry about the time. Gotta go when the tides are just right. Thanks for inviting me. For a long time, we drive in silence on empty, dark roads until Henry finally says, So, Ronan, your dad said he had a lot of experience on the water. Perhaps you'll take to it, too. He did. He was a swordfish fisherman before I came. He'd be out for weeks at a time. Henry heads up the hill towards Chatham Pier. That's a tough life. Takes a lot of guts. Yeah, Ronan sighs. He misses it. He says that a lot. I think he wants to go back to it. Henry stares at Ronan as he pulls the key out of the ignition. I think he's going to say something, but instead he pushes open his truck door and we all get out. Then he reaches in the back and pulls out 2 life vests. Put these on. I don't need that, I say. I don't like those things. Well, you don't have to wear it then. You'll be more comfortable, I'm sure. That was easy, I think. I mean, he continues, you'll be sitting on the dock waving to Ronan and me as we head out to sea, but you'll be more comfortable. I take the vest and put it on while Ronan laughs. When Henry starts the reel, I feel it jolt and rumbling through my feet. I look at the captain's wheel and half expect Papa Joseph wearing his hat with the flaps on the side and back to shield him from the sun. His t-shirt had a salty fisherman on the back that says, Call me Joseph. It isn't long before we head around Montmoy. Ronan points, Hey, look at all the seals. Yeah, Henry says, Montmoy is one of the best restaurants on the Cape for great whites. No reservations required. Cool, Ronan lights up. Maybe we'll see great whites. I love great whites. That's because you're not a seal, I say, watching the seals lie on the sand. I wonder if the Madre and her baby are there somewhere. We hit the open ocean. Henry turns on his GPS and fish finder. I'm surprised at how detailed they are, like watching a TV screen. Ronan leans in and studies it. Look, Delcy, look at the fish there. Not quite the ones we're looking for, Ronan sighs. Probably a big school of mackerel. If I were looking for bait today, that would be great. But we want to nab bigger stuff. How can you tell what kind of fish it is? The size, the depth, and the depth in terms of the sun, too. As the sun gets higher in the sky, the stripers go deeper. That's why we're out here so early. In the distance, a bunch of seagulls are dive-bombing the surface of the water, a sure sign that there are fish there. As we get closer, we see there are rips. When we get to the spot, the birds are angry, but Henry is happy. We're right over a shoal, and I think we're looking at some stripers here on the screen. Let's get fishing and see if we can get them on the boat. Henry flips open a plastic box. Inside, there are live eels. I remember they are his favorite bait for catching stripers. Ronan reaches in and picks one up. Good, not squeamish. Good way to begin. I plunge my hand into the box and grab an eel too, a bigger one than Ronan's. It's going to be a lucky day, I can feel it, Henry says. So you two want to bait your own hooks? I hesitate since the eel is looking at me, but I think of my mama and I want to be at least good as her at this. Even better. Yes, I can do it. Just show me how. Henry grabs an eel and puts the hook through one eye and out the other so it holds. Then he holds the eel up, which makes the letter J, telling him that it's still alive. Yep, good solid hold there, he says. A striper will attack its prey from the front, so the hook will have a chance of catching the striper that way. Ronan baits the hook, so do I, and it's gross, but I don't let on. Good things come to those who bait, Henry says. Unless you're an eel, I say. So now I cast? Nah, no casting for stripers. You just drop it off the water, in the water off the side, and then jig it. Move it up and down. Here, fishy, fishy, I say. Henry shakes his head. Okay, he says. If you feel like you got a nibble, count to 3 slowly and then yank the line. If you yank too soon, you'll probably pull the hook out of the fish's mouth. You've got to be patient. And it turns out that being patient is important as we sit for over an hour with no nibble from anything. We can't make a lot of noise either because Henry says that scares off the fish. But finally I get a nibble and I count to 3. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, and yank. Great, Delcy, you got the hook. I think Henry is happier than I am. But the fish isn't. It yanks back hard, and we see it come out of the water, curling as it fights back. Let me help you, Delcy, Henry says. No, I'm going to do it by myself. Oh, boy. I heard your mom say that to your papa many times. I'm both happy and sad to hear this. With Henry's directions, I pull the pole back behind my head and then crank the reel, moving the pole forward, never letting the line get slack. Move back, crank the reel, move the pole in front of me, pull back, and repeat. By the time Henry plunges the net into the water to scoop up the fish, my arms are so tired I can hardly lift them. But I did it myself. I caught my own fish, and I wish Grammy and Esme had been here to see it. We measure it, and Henry says, Whoa, a 40-incher. You don't start off small, that's for sure. I'm guessing about 23 pounds. That's about $3 a pound. You've just earned about $70. Wait, what? I get to keep the money? You get to keep whatever we sell it at. That's a good estimate. I jump up. Yes! Henry hoists the fish into a large cooler filled with ice. Ronan is happy for me, I can tell. But I can also tell he really wants his own fish. Henry puts his hand on Ronan's shoulder. Okay, son, let's pull out the big guns. My lucky St. Croix, one of the best fishing poles around. I turn around. St. Croix? Isn't that where Esme was born? Indeed. Unique, beautiful island. Smart, beautiful lady. Henry offers to help Ronan, but he wants to do it himself. With the first nibble, Ronan yanks too quickly and loses the fish. Happens to the best of us, Henry says. Later I catch another striper that's only 30 inches long, and Henry says that we have to throw it back. It's too small to keep. Ronan gets another bite, and he counts to 3 and then yanks the pole to the side, setting the hook in the fish's mouth. When the fish breaks the surface, we see it's an enormous one, and Ronan breaks into the biggest smile I've ever seen on him. Now, when you get this one on the boat, this sucker will be a great picture for your dad. Ronan looks sad but brightens to agree. I can tell he's faking. Henry stands behind him with a slight smile, the ocean reflecting off his glasses. I feel thankful for him, thankful he took us out, and thankful just to know him. Ronan is cranking the reel on the St. Croix, pulling back, cranking again, pulling back. Hey, Delcy, I think this may be as big as yours, but it's hard to hold on to the pole. Man, this thing is heavy. $70 worth of heavy, I say, smiling. We'll go to Saucepan Lynn's and have all the pancakes we can eat. As Ronan laughs, his pole is yanked hard. A great white shark comes out of the water like a rocket off a launch pad. It comes up from underneath the fish with its mouth wide open, soars upward, nabs the fish, and yanks it back into the ocean, almost on its side. It all happens so fast that it takes me a few seconds to realize that Ronan has let go of Henry's prized St. Croix fishing pole, and it's about 10 feet from the boat, moving away from us. Ronan takes 2 running steps towards the side of the boat, ready to jump over, I think. But Henry is able to grab a hold of his life jacket and pull him back. Henry is wide-eyed, looking at him. What are you doing, Ronan? It's just a fishing pole. I can cut the line, he says. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. I'll help the shark. Help the shark. Get the St. Croix back for you. He won't be interested in me. Great whites don't attack people very rarely. I'm more likely to get killed by a vending machine or a cow. More cows attack people than sharks, and no one's freaking out about them. What? Henry is confused. It's a shark. A great white. Seriously, statistically, it's more likely I'd get killed by a vending machine or a cow than a shark. Listen, kid, you really... Please interrupt. I've never heard him sound like that before. Like a kid begging. You can't do that, son. You saw that shark who took your fish. He's still around somewhere. I could be fast. I'll cut the line and grab it quick. Looking out at the water, I notice the pole is gone now. I think it's too late anyway, Ronan. Ronan's face is hard like a rock. I'm sorry you lost the fish. I'll split my money with you. But your pole. The St. Croix is your lucky one. I'm so sorry, and I want to get it back for you, he begs Henry. It's just a pole, Henry says, stepping forward. It's okay. And Ronan steps back. I didn't mean to let it go. It's really okay, Ronan. Relax. It wasn't all that lucky anyway. Henry reaches out to touch his shoulder, but Ronan leans just enough away to avoid it. Things happen, Henry says. Better the pole go in the water than one of you. I'm so sorry, Henry repeats. He sits down on the deck with his back against the side. His knees are up near his chest, and his forehead rests against his palms. Then he looks up to say one more thing to Henry. Please don't tell my father. What kind of fisherman would want me for his kid? Chapter 29, The Greatest Predictor of Success. The next morning, Ronan and I head to Saucepan Lynn's for some pancakes. Saucepan Lynn is a volunteer firefighter, so she cooks in her suspenders in case she has to run off. I remember the day she slapped a handful of keys on the counter and told the regulars to take one, that they could start pulling their weight around the place and get in early to help with breakfast. One of Henry's favorite things to do is leave the house before dawn and get some bacon frying on the griddle. When we arrive, we have to step over a couple of golden retrievers. When some people complained about them, Saucepan hung up a sign to say, if you have a problem with our dogs, we are happy to recommend another restaurant. We sit at the counter and Ronan is mesmerized watching Saucepan. Man, she's got some arm muscles on her. He leans over and whispers, What's her tattoo of? A ship's anchor with a saucepan hanging off the bottom. When she flexes her muscles, the pan swings back and forth a bit. That's wicked cool, he laughs. And on her wrist, she has a Yarmouth firefighter badge. Most firefighters in town have one. Saucepan reaches over and gives a rubber chicken a few squeaks. That's the signal for the waitress that there are meals to deliver. Then she resumes an old argument with the regulars. There are worse things than spending a day on a boat. I hang over a hot stove. Oh, come on, are you kidding me? One of the guys shoots back. In January, the wind makes your bones crack. I'd give my teeth to stand over a hot stove. And no one has ever died making sauce. Well, she says, you can yammer on about bones cracking, but if there's a few sprinkles out, I see you here hunch over a hot cup of coffee, and I hear you bragging about patience you have in catching fish. You want to know about patience? Try making a fish sauce. What sauce got to do with patience? Another regular asks. Everything, she bellows, pointing to her whisk at him. A good cook knows you can't go turning up the heat because you're impatient. You gotta let it simmer. Take its time. Let all of the flavors come into their own. Because if you rush it, well, it won't satisfy. But, she leans forward, if you cook it just right, folks can't shake the memory of it and long for another taste. That's what brings them back. You mean to tell me, a fisherman says, that you think that it takes more patience to cook a sauce than to fish on the ocean when you can't see land in any direction? You're out there for hours in all kinds of weather, dealing with seasickness and engine troubles of a number of other things that happen. Yeah, because a sauce takes time and love. Once you catch the fish, the job is done. God's done all the work for you. Amid the grumbling of a bunch of fishermen, she whips her head around to look at us. Hey, she says, pointing at Ronan. Is your name Ronan? Yeah, he says, pushing his chin forward. You ever flipped a crepe? A crepe? Yeah, a crepe. It's like a very thin pancake. We put fruit and other things inside. Why? Just answer. You flipped a crepe before or not? Ronan turns around, I guess to check if there's someone behind them that she's really talking to. When he turns back, she points at him again. Yeah, I'm talking to you, short stack. He spreads his feet apart. Don't call me that. She squints one eye. Okay, I'm sorry, but don't you worry about how big you are. I've known plenty of big men who didn't have a drop of bravery. Being strong in the ways that matter has nothing to do with muscles. It's about the size of a man's heart and soul, not his shirt size. I think about Grammy talking about Papa's strong shoulders and realize that I misunderstood what she meant. She walks around the counter but holds Ronan's gaze. So Henry Lasco was here every morning talking about how brave you are, wanting to jump in the water after the sharks. And by the way, I hope someone has told you that ain't brave. That's just foolishness. But this is what I want to know. Are you brave enough to flip a good crepe? It startles me that the words brave and crepe are in the same sentence. I look at Ronan and think how he won't be able to resist her challenge. I'm betting that telling Ronan to stay away from a dare is like telling a seagull to stay away from a French fry. He walks around the counter and over to the grill. What am I supposed to do? She puts an oven mitt on his hand. You've got 2 crepes ready to be flipped. I'll do the first, you do the second. One of the fishermen yells, What are you doing? Leave the kid alone. She snaps back. Now, you just mind your own P's and Q's there. She turns to Ronan. You want me to leave you alone? Ronan clears his throat. No. Saucepan continues. Good. Now I think the way that a person flips a crepe says something about who he is and his future. He looks at her like a bass just swam out of her mouth. Yeah, she says, leaning in. People look at me like that a lot, and I don't much care, to be honest. But I'm right about crepes, trust me. She grabs a handle of the first pan and steps back from the stove. Gotta put some muscle into it. Take control. Show the crepes who's boss. Wish I had a nickel for every time I've heard that, Ronan says. Hey, none of your funny business here. He smirks. She shakes the pan to loosen the crepe, then angles it downward and swoops it in a circle. The crepe flies into the air, flips, and lands in the pan. Easy, she says, with a single nod. Your turn. Ronan gets squinty-eyed, and I worry for him. Come on, putting it off will only burn the thing. I'm not putting it off, I'm preparing. Well, prepare faster. I hold my breath. Ronan seems so calm, but he grunts as he sends the crepe into the air. A roar from the fishermen's laughter shakes the place. Saucepan looks up at the ceiling. You really stuck it up there, kid. You are strong, that's for sure. She leans towards the back room and yells, Someone get me a broom. She turns back to Ronan. Well, perhaps you need a bit of finesse, but I think you'll do great things, kid.